story arc through our eyes, and you see how we were sort of dreamers, and we really wanted to swim with the whales, and we were so excited about what we were doing that we didn't really think anything through. And you get to see us sort of change as we go through the movie and as we learn the truth of what goes on behind the scenes. So I think the audience gets to go along with us as we move through the film that way. And I don't think it sort of makes anyone feel bad for having gone to SeaWorld, because everyone out there is just like us. I mean, we all think, wow, what an amazing thing to do. I mean, that's what I thought. How incredible is it to swim with a killer whale? But I never considered, you know, does the killer whale really want to swim with me? Is this the best thing for the killer whale? So, and I think that really carries through in this movie, and I felt like the Sundance audiences really also resonated with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of it because I think it's well done, and I believe in the power of the medium of film. So I think this is a game changer because it really has the power to, you know, influence people by being so well packaged and showing, you know, an honest perspective of what's really going on.
Yeah, one of the criteria that I wanted out of this, and Gabriella and I spoke at length, was that it needed to be honest and accurate. And I walk away from this just, you know, extremely proud of the fact that she made sure that the documentary lived up to what I sort of required for my personal participation. So for that, Gabby, thank you very much.
Gabriella, can you talk about the process of getting people to talk, of finding people to tell this story? And, you know, I mean, were some of these employees have to deal with confidentiality agreements, or what were some of those hurdles?
They are all, everybody up here is a former SeaWorld trainer, so they were not, you know, employed by SeaWorld when I interviewed them. And you know, to that as well, this kind of just riffs off of what John Jett's talking about. All that anybody had to do was sort of tell the truth and, you know, recount events as they had seen them, and, you know, a fact is a fact. And that was definitely the driving force for, you know, the filmmaking style. As you can see, it's sort of fact-based, and it's a story from beginning to end, without shoehorning a bunch of stuff that I feel as an audience you should know. Like, I didn't sort of want it to be manipulative. I just sort of told the story. And so these guys lent to that, you know, they lent to that, their truths that they had sort of witnessed, you know, and experienced during their SeaWorld training years.
Take questions from the audience. Raise your hand right here, sir.
A lot of the footage looked like it was proprietary to SeaWorld. How did you get that footage? Because it doesn't seem like they cooperated.
The question was about footage, all the different kinds of footage that you must have sourced from many places.
Right. No, a lot of it is footage is actually fair use. So anybody who kind of knows documentary filmmaking, this is something that we sort of invoke, and that is, you know, the footage that we use has got to be in sort of an, you know, in context. It's part of the story and, you know, educational to some extent. So that was how we were able to use some footage. No, it's not, you know, SeaWorld was not giving us footage by any stretch of the mind. So.
Question in the middle.
Given the current quality of nature photography, which gives people access to these creatures in natural habitat, what is the why is there any social utility to what's going on?
Maybe we could let the trainers answer that question.
Sure, he was saying, given how great nature photography is these days, you can really get up close to animals without having them in captivity. What's the relevance, basically, of them doing this anymore? And I absolutely agree with you. I think there was relevance to what SeaWorld is doing. To some extent, I don't agree with the captures. You know, when you see, you know, a baby killer whale being removed from its mom, every time I see that footage, I see a 4-year-old being taken from its mother, and it's heartbreaking. So I don't agree with that. But I do agree that there was some value back in the 60s or the 50s for people to see these animals and get a sense that they were not, you know, vicious killer whales. But of course now there isn't really any relevance to what SeaWorld is doing, but we're not up here trying to get them to shut down their business. That's not the idea. I would personally love it if they would just change their business model and phase out the animal shows, the circus style shows, and move into more of an entertainment kind of park. You know, they could have the rides, which is why a lot of people go there anyway. They could turn a lot of the facilities into rehab facilities because they know so much now about veterinary care, and there are plenty of animals that have been stranded that actually need a place to go. And I'm sure people would pay to come to SeaWorld to see animals being rehabbed and then put back into the wild. And they would probably pay to see that process. So SeaWorld would still make plenty of money. It's not like their business has to go away. But even a shift towards, I'd love to see an IMAX theater at Shamu Stadium, you know, and maybe people using jet skis in front of that, you know, with whales in the background. But they don't need live whales anymore. And the big argument that SeaWorld always makes is that if people don't see these whales and don't have a chance to get close to them, that how could they love them? And of course, the argument that we would say is that, well, kids all over the world know and love dinosaurs, and they've never seen one. You know, they died millions of years ago, and yet they still love them. And so, you know, it's not necessary for somebody to see a killer whale behind glass to care about them.
Why do they have to love them in the first place?
Next question. Yes, I'll take you.
With the compilation